Yo fam, check out thehubproject.com. It's a defo, trust me.
Might need help, or like, what if he's hungry? What if he just wants to come and check me? What if he's got nowhere else to go? Like, literally, I am that person because I'm quite caring. Do you know what I mean? I'm not horrible. I'm not a horrible person. So therefore, if a family member that is that I hear rumors about, because remember, I'm telling you, I ain't never seen him do nothing to nobody. If I'm hearing rumors about a family member that is up to stuff, yeah, that is not great, then obviously I am not going to believe those rumors straight away in the sense of take action. Because this family member is so nice. He's a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? But I'll be honest, yeah, I have a cousin and she always thought that he was weird. And she was always a bit freaked out when she was around him. And also, because she's always got something to say, and people like women abusers don't always like that. They don't like that at all. Him and her have caught up on a few altercations, actually. But it's always when I'm out of the room. So it's almost like these things are timed to their perfection and how they want things without the knowledge of us out here, not realizing that we are actually being manipulated and used in order to enable their despicable behavior. That is the message that I am putting out there today. Stop enabling. If it means that you have to lock people off to let them know that you don't agree with what you've been hearing, yeah? And especially if what you've been hearing is coming from a reliable source, yeah? Don't dismiss it. Don't try and say it might be the girl's fault. Don't try and say, oh, it's because he is having a bad time at the moment. Don't try and say it's because of his mental health. Don't try and make excuses about his upbringing. Don't do that. Abuse is abuse. Everybody knows that they shouldn't do it. So when you are being treated in an abusive way, don't make excuses for it. When you see your youngers that are female being treated in an abusive way, don't make excuses for it. Do you know what I mean? Especially in families. Do you know what I mean? It's so easy to do in a family where people are telling people, shut up, shut up. And it's just like 3 words that are being said. No, that's not how you speak to somebody. Like, especially if you're having a conversation, why are you telling people to shut up when it's a conversation? Like, everyone's got the right to speak. And even if you do want somebody to shut up, at least you could do is say, be quiet. Do you know what I mean? That would be more polite. And what you really should be doing is making sure that whatever happens at home is fixed and corrected so that when these young people go out onto the road and present themselves, representing where they're coming from, which is from us, yeah, they're good. Yeah, that's what we want, right? I saw a woman today. She said to me, your sons always say hello to me, but not your daughters. And I was with my daughter, and she looked, and she was like, I could see the old attitude coming in on the face and the old side eye, they call it. We call it cut eye. Yeah, I could see it. And she was like almost saying, what are you talking about? I never ever see you. However, I think from this moment on, when she does see this lady, she will be saying hello because now she's been told. And because that's what you got to do in it. You got to take the time and tell people, well, go on. But some people's head is hard, isn't it? So it doesn't always work like that, especially if they've got you drawn in. They will tell you anything. You will believe anything. And then when they're around the corner, they're just doing what they want, abusing women. Do you know what I mean? And not saying hello to people in my daughter's case. And then one time, my son was at school and the teacher phoned me, the head of year. He phoned up. He said, oh, I just wanted to say about Kingston, because you guys know my children. If you don't, go over to my YouTube channel and you shall meet my family. Yeah, I just wanted to say about Kingston. And I heard him say to somebody, shut up, in such an aggressive way. And I had to pull him. I couldn't believe it was him. That's because they don't hear that, yeah, because obviously children are really good actors and actresses and you don't always get to hear everything they're on. Do you get me? Because they know, duppy know to frighten. But he got caught out and he got drawn out. And the teacher rang me and they told me about it. And I said to him, you see, how do you expect to keep on hiding? Do you know what I mean? Can't keep on hiding. They're soon going to find out what you're like. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it went. So that for the teacher was out of character. However, for me, that was like standard. I hear them talk like that to each other all the time in the flat, and keep telling them you can't make people hear you talking like that because it sounds bad. And the more that they go out on the road and everything I tell them comes to pass, is the more trust is built, right? Because there has to be a stage when your children actually believe what you're saying, whether it be at the stages where they're learning for themselves or they've got their own children now and certain things are going in and they're like, oh my days, my mum told me about this, my mum used to tell me about this, and now you're doing it, this, that, and the other, rare. Because I say it, go. And it is always a way where your parents do know better. Now, I can imagine how difficult it is to have a child that you not let alone you're scared of. Yeah, you're scared of your own child, but also he's going out there giving problems to other women on representing you. Do you know what I mean? On the premise that because you think it's okay, then obviously why would anybody else mind? I think, I'll be honest, it starts at home. So we had a conversation last week about my son, and I was saying that especially since this incident, especially with my brother being his uncle, especially with me deciding to cut him off a couple of years ago, I've been hard on my eldest son because I find that he has an aggressive nature which needs to be toned down because it's not going to be acceptable out on the road. Do you know what I mean? He's black and he's big, and that doesn't match. He needs to be much more approachable. He needs more riz. And we spoke about that last week because I was saying that we argued and he was swearing at me. And I was like, is it really you think you're swearing at? Continue to swear at me and see if I don't call the police on your ass. However, we've come a long way since last week. And I done a little experiment. It wasn't planned, but it just worked out like that. So we were watching the football yesterday, and I was sitting next to him and his girlfriend. For those of you that didn't know, he was dishonest with his girlfriend that he's with at the moment, and he done things that he wasn't supposed to do without telling her and letting her know. She ended up finding out. If you want to hear more about that, you can go on Facebook and look at one of my earlier programs. It is a program with a varied amount of men talking about what they think about women. And my son is on there telling you about this particular situation. So I play music. Sometimes I play music, but today is not a music day. Welcome to the FIIGS Pod Live podcast show. Today we're talking in the second part of how I have been a enabler. I have been playing the role of enabler for 20 years, and within that 20 years, I've learned a lot. And what I will say to everybody is stop enabling. It doesn't matter if it's your brother, your cousin, your nephew. It doesn't matter if it's your uncle, and you are witnessing behavior towards any family members that are female, that ain't sounding good, that ain't looking good. You need to put a stop to that. So I'm saying about my son. Yeah, today's not a music day because I need to get on and talk to people. This is part 2 about how I have been enabling a male family member to commit acts of domestic violence, literally right under my nose. I can't talk about anybody else in my family that's been doing it because they'd have to talk about that. But I'm definitely going to talk about my role and how, as a big sister, as a niece, as a mum of 2 boys, I have been enabling. It's just been obvious and clear. Because why would I be friends with a woman abuser, no matter who they were? Why would I do that? Who does that? Like, I know a lot of people are doing it, right? Why would I talk to, entertain, have around my house in front of my children a person that scares and intimidates, manipulates, and bullies their mum? Why would I do that? And I've got so much big chat. People with big chat don't do them things. Do you get me? So I stopped about 2 years ago. And the reason I'm not playing any music today is because I've got no time to play music and soften this podcast. Yeah, this live stream. I don't want to soften it. I want to make it what it is, so that everybody understands that when you're talking about, oh, he's my brother, oh, he's my uncle, oh, he's my dad, oh, he's my blah, blah, yeah, for these male people that are abusing and you're aware, yeah, you need to understand music can't help you to make you feel better about that. Do you know what I mean? It's a heavy program. It's late at night. We're way past watershed. I'm putting some people to sleep. And I wrote a poem. So I'm going to have to read it to you, which I'm really, really happy to do. Because I think that you deserve to hear it. I haven't set my music up. If I was going to, when I want to play it, I'm actually going to do my best to try and play it under the circumstances of an instrumental, something like that. I'll see how we get on. But I am here to say that we enable without realizing it, because we're friends with the abuser. Because even if you've been abused, that abuser has got some family members that chat to him. His mum, his grandma, his auntie, his cousins. They are all enablers, especially if they've even got a whiff of what he's up to. Do you know what I mean? Never mind that they know the full-blown story and you and them are quite close and you tell them everything and they still talk to him. It's not right. I know women that are in their 20s that don't talk to their fathers because of the way their fathers have treated their mums. They don't do that. They don't entertain that. They don't like people like that. They don't care if it's their dad. They don't care if it's their brother or their uncle or their nephew or their cousin. They're not bothered. They just don't talk to people like that. Why not? Because they're an abuser. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things that have gone on in my family that actually, it's just been absolutely ridiculous, the amount of enabling that has been allowed, considering the rumours. Do you know what I mean? So, like I say to my sons all the time, I used to say to my children when they were at school, why is your name being called up? Why hasn't the teacher said to me, except for Finale, except for Kingston, except for Cairo, except for Winter? And when that does happen, do you know what I mean? When they do come home and say, oh, mum, everybody got into trouble today, but I didn't, yeah, then we know we're kind of getting somewhere. When, like I was telling to you about my son, we've got progression. Because last week I was telling you that I don't like his attitude. This week I'm telling you that I've seen an improvement in his attitude, and long may it continue. Because who knows how long this attitude thing can continue. Who knows what triggers people into doing things that they do that are sometimes on a negative level and are causing other people stress and heartache. So based on that, I'm going to come off TikTok, because literally I have my listeners and the TikTok's not it. And I'm going to read my poem. And then I'm going to tell you the good news about Cairo and his lovely behaviour that I saw him display yesterday with, while I was like almost like a fly in the wall while I was watching the football. Because what I've realised about my children, they're very free in front of me, which I love, because it means I get to see what I need to work on with them. If they keep hiding and they're sly and they're sneaky and they keep showing me that they're really good, they're really good, they're really good, then I won't know where they need to improve when they go out on that road. But thankfully for me, what my children do is properly show me exactly where I need to fix up and what I need to do to help them and guide them along the way. So, like I said, I have a poem I was going to try and play it on the back of some instrumental, but I'm just going to play it cold so that it sinks in. I've sent it to a couple of people, which has been nice, but it might resonate with you. Do you know what I mean? Because we've got dimensions here when it comes to abuse and the roles that we play in with regards to the abuser and the person that is being abused. Do you know what I mean? I think that it's always a thing as well, especially when you're an adult, yeah? People want to mind their own business, isn't it? Because nothing to do with them. Except for when they have to come to the hospital to visit you. But if, when they see you and your eyes black, oh my God, what happened to you? It's got nothing to do with you, has it? So why are you now asking? Do you know what I mean? What are you actually going to do about it now that you even know? So I'm going to try and read this poem without stuttering, in the good voice that you read things with when you read stuff. You know, when you're at school and the teacher says, read, stand up and read. Let's see if I can get it out, and let's see if it's going to be effective and if it's going to resonate with anybody. So, here goes. The Enabler. Do you have a male friend or a male family member who you have heard is a woman abuser? Then your role is probably enabler. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to be aware of, the part you play in the abuse, and how the abuser positions you gently and precisely to their use. As strong as you are, and as brave as you are, your silence buys the time for the consistent and the progress of the violence that happens all the time. As females alike, and as try as we might, we have no power to change them. Only our actions we control, as long as we know, and they think they have a friend. I'm afraid, my dear, that's called enabling. And if you are guilty of enabling against your knowledge and your will, it sounds to me like this fits you and this fits the bill. The quicker you reside from this enabling role, the less power you take, the more power you take from the abuser. That's a fact. And it's not too late for you to act. Take time to observe the actions and the words of your male friends and your male family members, those capable of abuse. Stop them with their arms house, and stop them when they're about to lose a fuse. Do not ignore it, and don't forget not to befriend them, and stop making and creating an excuse. If they end up in jail, don't give them bail, and don't give in to the abuse. Look out for the abuser, even if he's a male friend or a male family member. Look out for yourself and do your best not to fulfill the role of the enabler. I kind of made that up because I wanted to put it in context about how serious it is to actually enable another human being to commit acts of violence to another human being. Bruv, it ain't right. It doesn't matter who they are. It's not right. It doesn't matter how much you love them. And then you might get a situation where this particular person has maybe been reprimanded in a violent way because of their behaviour, and then you have mums that do stuff like cry when that's going on. Oh, but they're beating him up. Good. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely bloody brilliantly good. So, unfortunately, I think that we all play some part. I think we're all guilty. It's bad to say, and I'm not going out there pointing fingers, going you're an enabler, you're an enabler, you're an enabler. No, I'm not doing that. But what I'm directly saying is I'm sure at one stage we've all you have all. I'm already admitting mine. I'm putting my hands up. Hands up. I'm an enabler. I've been enabling for 20. My name is FIIGS, and I have been enabling for 20 years. That's my therapy. I've known my brother for 22 years. He's 36. He came along when he was 14 because he was there were politics, so we didn't see him for a long time. He has a mum. She decided, fair enough, her choice. I don't think that's had any difference. I don't think that's made one bit of difference to the outcome of this person. I think that if we go around making excuses for these people and their behaviour, then we're never going to get to the root of it, are we? Next week we've got a whopper coming up because we have somebody that has been abused by my brother, who is willing to come on and actually talk about it. Can you believe that? It's going to be fantastic because it's going to be real, and you know what? It's not going to be me talking. So you guys will have a break from me. But the person coming on, they can really talk. And if they don't come on and it is pre-recorded, don't worry. We will get the information that you guys, that she's willing to share, so that whoever is in a situation like that can always feel like they are not alone, which is really, really important. You don't have to feel alone as an enabler, because the abuser always makes sure that you have got more than one person to talk to. So there's a close network of the enabling with regard to my brother, and there's a wider network, yeah? And there's an even wider network than that, actually. So he has his immediate enablers. So he has his mother, he has me, his sister, he has another sister that lives in another part of the country, and he has his brother, his maternal brother, who he was brought up on. We are all his main enablers. And what we do, I've worked this all out myself. This is my theory. This is what I think. I don't know. I didn't get it out of a book. I don't know if this is how it goes. I do have a recording of an expert that has spoken to some serial killers. I went in. Yeah, why not? And she says that my brother hasn't got to that stage yet, and he can tap in to the bad side, to the side that makes him do bad things of his brain, and he can fix it because he can talk to it and he can train it not to do bad things. She also said that people that have psychopathic tendencies are possessed by the devil. Hopefully, my brother ain't gone that far yet, but it ain't looking good for him, because the problem is, in order for you to get help, you need to be sorry, nah? I feel that you need to be sorry in order for you to get help. You can't just go and get help for what? You have to admit that you've done something wrong before the government start lashing out resources to help you. Do you know what I mean? You have to really make out like something is wrong. You can't just go and say, yeah, hi, I'm just a normal guy. When I meet women, yeah, they just get in my way and I just trip over them. And sometimes they get a black eye and I just don't know what happens. It's just not my fault. Every time I look at somebody, they're injured. I am done that. No, that ain't going to work. So the problem is that from what I can see, for all the decades that I've been enabling and for all the time that my brother has been abusing, he has not gone and got any help. He has not admitted to anybody he has anger problems. He has childhood trauma. He finds it difficult to cope in life. He hasn't gone and done that. If he had, he'd be a lot further forward with repairing whatever needs to be repaired. Because I can't say what it is. I have too much emotional feeling with regard to this situation. So my opinion about what is wrong with him, it don't matter because I'm not an expert. And if I was to tell you that I did think there was something wrong with him, it would just be because, as far as I'm concerned, he is not behaving appropriately. And the reason I'm saying that is because he's my brother, and I think I know how he should behave, but I don't, do I? Do you know what I mean? Because only he knows how he thinks he should behave, and he is demonstrating that in full, and it's very colourful. It's heavy stuff. It's out of order and it's wrong. And he's had experiences where, like I said, I've had a niece that is no longer alive anymore. Who's out there. This is why ancestral relationships happen, because nobody knows who's who. When I was growing up, one thing my dad said, he was a terrible father. He was never there for me when I was actually growing up. I didn't meet him till I was 14. I met him by the grace of God. I won't say luck, because that could never have been luck. It was too coincidental. And when I did meet him, I never left his side. We got on like a house on fire, and I enabled his behaviour, but only to a point, and only for a while, because I quickly clocked on that if I allow this man to deal with me or anybody else in front of me how he wants, it will be game over, and you have no chance to be your own person when you are being manipulated and controlled with how and what you and when you do stuff, and who will forget all that. But unfortunately, I have a sibling who is my younger brother, who has decided that the way that he's going to run his life is to control women and make them do what he wants in an abusive, aggressive, and violent way. And I don't enable it anymore. And the reason how I don't enable it is I cut him off. And the reason that I was enabling it was because he's my brother and I love him. And as far as I was concerned, he wasn't doing it to me. So then why do I need to worry? Do you know what I mean? I'm only hearing about this abuse, and I'm hearing about it on a constant as well. He's consistent with it. And as long as I'm listening, I am in a close network with the main enablers, the people that actually see the damage he's done and feel the damage he's done. Excuse me. And I have decided that I no longer will enable. So his maternal brother has locked him off. He has literally said he doesn't care, doesn't want anything to do with him. But it's really difficult because they share the same mum. And if my brother is abusing his mum, how is his older brother not to get involved? Who's looking out for mum then? Do you know what I mean? Mum can't be left on. Mum can't be on her own, because mum is petrified of child. No, of son, because son is no longer a child. Son is now an adult, and for me, we need to learn to let go a lot sooner than what we do, because if we don't let go, then we give these men, whether they're young men or not, we give them a safety net. And that's not helpful, because when they're done, finished abusing their victim, they feel that that safety net is now there for them to come and use, because they're falling out with their missus or whoever it is that they're with, because they've been abusing them. So they've fallen out with that person. Yeah. So now they've got somewhere else to go. And you see, when they finished abusing their mum, and they have another side of the family that doesn't live close by, and the news doesn't spread that fast, because the immediate enablers always keep it to themselves. Yeah, they don't want it to go that far. They don't want to bother anybody else. They know what a burden it is. Plus, it's embarrassing. Do you know what I mean? So, and everybody always thinks they can fix everything. So, between the three of us, or four of us actually, me, his mum, my sister, and his brother, we're thinking, yeah, this is good. We've got this. Occasionally, the extended family might hear, Nathan done this. Nathan done that. And it's literally spoken about, almost like, what are you telling me for? Me and Nathan are good. When it comes to me, none of this happens. So why are you telling me? It's almost like that. I'm not saying it is, but it's almost like that. So his mum will only ring a certain amount of people. You know what it's like when you've got a man and he's giving problems. You only have your very, very small circle that you bother with those problems. And even then, eventually that fades out because everybody is literally fed up of hearing about you and this man and the issues that you're having. Why are you with him? But you see, when it's your child, it's not about why you're with him. You can't not be with him. But hear what I'm telling you. Lock them off. That's how you're not with them. They will always be your child. You can't stop that. Yeah? But one day that child will be an adult. Yeah? That is inevitable. We can't avoid that. That's unavoidable. Yeah? And it doesn't mean that when that child is an adult, they still have your apron strings or your purse strings or your heartstrings to hang on to. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean that. Especially if they're going out there and taking liberties with other people's female children. No. Yeah, so I've read the poem and I'm going to tell you the really good news about Cairo. I sat and witnessed, I was with him and his girlfriend in the front room the other day for ages. We sat and we watched the football, etc., etc., and I noticed how annoying she is. Oh, my days. No, let me tell you, she's bare annoying, fam. Like, really, really annoying. I thought I was bad. I thought I could talk a lot. I thought I liked to argue the point. But my girl she will argue when she's wrong. She will lie. She will pinch. She will slap. She will hit. She will shout. And we have to train our men to deal with this behavior because it's girls, isn't it? It's women. That's what we do. Do you know what I mean? Where we tend to think we know what's best, whether we've got children or not. I've always been bossy. I've always thought I know what's best, definitely for me. And when you're a kid, especially, that doesn't work. I can tell you that now. Anybody that's under age of and under any age, do not try and get on like you can do what you want, because there'll be some adult back of you, pulling you, drawing you right back, saying, "Hey, Sonny Jim, you can't do that. You can't do this. Rare, blah blah blah." And try and know it will happen because there are people out there that want you to be a decent person, so they won't watch you run up and down and do wrongs. Yeah, and then when you get to an adult, that becomes less frequent, the people that want you to do well. Yeah. Now it is you're expected to behave in a certain way that is decent, and if you don't, follow the rules that are written down. Some of them are written down. Walk on the left. Don't feed the pigeons. No ball games. Yeah. When you don't follow those rules, there are sanctions, and that is right. That is the right way to let your child grow up, especially if they're male. Let them grow up and understand. Do you understand? You want to hang around with girls? Girls are annoying. That's the sanction. You need to work around that, brethren, because you can't go through it. It's not going to move. It's not going to change. Girls have been annoying for time. Nothing's going to change that. Some of them have really high-pitched voices as well. They're not all like me with this deep voice. I'm still annoying now. Don't get twisted. You can ask anybody that knows me good. I am annoying. You know why? Because I don't give up. I'm not like my son's girlfriend. She will cheat in games like that they play, blah blah blah. Even though she's learnt now not to do that with my boy because that don't run. We like things to be fair. She's she's been brought up in environment where she's been able to have her own way a lot. So again, we need to be letting our females know life don't go like that. When you leave here, there's nobody out there that's going to let you have your own way all the time. And if that's the case, it's going to be at a cost. No? So we need to let them know that. Don't let them have any false expectations. And as for these men that we are raising, yeah, boys to men, yeah, we need to let them understand that women and girls are annoying. It starts at my house with the sisters. Yeah, they've got 2 sisters, my boys. So you must know how annoying they are. They love snitch. Yeah, they love break things. They love lose things. Yeah, they love say it wasn't them. They love to just leave their stuff lying around and not actually take any responsibility for it. Doesn't matter who trips over it or if it's in the way. It makes no difference. Girls take up a lot of space. Do you know what I mean? Boys don't take up so much space, and girls can be loud, and boys like to focus and sometimes be quiet. So all these dynamics, men, boys, male people need to learn to live with this. Women are indecisive. They're argumentative. They like to take over. They're controlling. That's how we stay, brethren. So if you are raising a young man, yeah, he needs to understand that. He doesn't need to go around thinking everybody's going to be like you, saying yes to him all the time. Because they don't go like that. Do you know what I mean? And my family member, who is my paternal brother, yeah, is now realizing, yeah, it doesn't go like that. So I've been kind of debating with my family. I think I mentioned last week that I hadn't really shared it with them, but I thought this week, before I start my part 2 broadcast, let me just fill them in and let them know what is going on with their nephew. And it's really sad, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be having this information to give. Do you know what I mean? You know, you always get that person in the family that rings up. Oh, yeah, one of the kids is in hospital, you know. Oh, yeah, Auntie Julie died. Oh, yeah, you know, Auntie's in hospital because, yeah. Nah, you don't want to be that person that's always ringing up with bad news. And I don't seem to be that person that's always ringing up with bad news, because I have been keeping my enabling secrets to myself. Because like I said, eventually, there's only so many phone calls that you can make saying the same thing about the same person in a different scenario, yeah, about the same subject, but it's just in a different venue, a different place with a different person, yeah. There's only so many times that you can ring up before people start actually questioning you. Yeah, like I was questioning people that was ringing me. And then it starts looking a bit dodgy. And then that's when you start realizing, actually, you are taking part a bit too much. And you can go down the road of, I don't care. But then you have to mean that as well. I don't care. I don't care doesn't come straight away. I don't care comes after a lot of flipping manipulation and being worn out and drained, yeah, from hearing all the stories. And what done it for me was one particular person was around for a long time. One particular person was around for 4 years. And that is when I literally got to the I don't care stage. Because before that, the consistency with changing the women was high. So there's a high turnover. Because I think what was going on is that really, even though he was picking quiet women that were told to be scared of me and warned that his family really loved him and they wouldn't hear a bad word about him, which at the time was true, yeah, when he's picking those women, I don't think those women were doing it for him. So he started to find women with a personality now. And anyway, he was going out with one particular one, and I actually said to him, I said, you see this one, yeah? This one is going to kill you. I said that to him. And the reason that's brought me to have this podcast, because He's been on a ban from my yard and my immediate family for 2 years. But the reason that this 3-part series has come about is because of an incident that happened really recently with this particular person that he's been with for 4 years, that I told him at the beginning would kill him and he should get away from her. He should get away from her, because no matter what way you put that, at least she would be away from him. But she seemed to be quite hardcore, because staying for 4 years with somebody that is a woman abuser, especially at their age group, they're quite young. They're not past their 40s. These people, is a long time. 4 years. 4 years of your life when you are in your 30s is quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you are being abused. So for me, people say that she's weak. I think that she's tough, because to be in an abusive relationship for all that time, you got to be tough. You ain't weak. You might be weak to leave, but you got to be tough to stay. Do you understand? Because you're taking abuse constantly. How are you even still alive? Like, on a mental level, never mind anything else. Do you know what I mean? Especially when there's physical abuse going on. It's just absolutely unbelievable. I was in my domestic violence situation. I was young. As you guys know, I was 15, 14, 15. And I was in that relationship of abuse when I was getting actually physically abused 5 weeks straight, until somebody thought it would be a good idea to call an adult, which happened to be my mum, and she came and rescued me. I don't know if you guys know about what I have to say about safeguarding, but in the community, safeguarding is a deodorant. Safeguard is not a procedure that takes place in order to protect the vulnerable in the community. No, bruv. Safeguard is deodorant. That's about as much as they know about it in community. And I'll be honest, things haven't got much better since I was a child. I remember my grandma used to leave me and she'd go to work. I was only little. I was nobody old enough to be left so that people can go to work. So that was safeguarding right out the window there. And then sometimes it would be me and my brother that she would leave, my maternal brother. And yeah, that's just not bad. So are you one of those parents that harbor literally a fugitive? Would you be willing? I remember when I was actually going out with the abuser. I remember this. This is really important actually. This is a perfect example of where I learned one of my first examples of enabling. And it was when I was with the guy that I was being abused by, and I'd lost my virginity to him. And we were having a sexual relationship, even though he was overage. And even though my dad had already beaten him, I still insisted on being in contact with him. Anyway, regardless of that, I had a younger that, when your dad goes out with somebody that's already got children, yeah, that was who she was. And she ended up dealing with him, this guy that used to abuse me, because I'd already moved on and got another boyfriend, and she ended up actually going out with him. And I was like, oh, what are you doing? And she was like, oh, no, we really like each other. I was like, but and your mum knows, and my dad knows, and your mum knows that my dad knows, and your mum knows because your mum is my dad's baby mother. Your mum even knows that my dad has beaten this guy, but yet still, your mum is letting this guy in your yard. And that's how I know how easy it is to enable. Because that's wrong, isn't it? And we were all young, man. We were all like 15, 16. My girl was a couple of years younger than me, so she shouldn't have even been having sexual intercourse, especially under her mum's roof, especially with an ex boyfriend of mine that used to abuse me. That should not be going on. That is wrong. And I knew that was wrong because I locked them off. I locked them off for time. Yeah, that's wickedness. That is. You know that there's a guy out there that is physically abusive, and yet still you allow that guy to keep company with your daughter in your yard. Sorry, I have a bit of a tickly cough. I'm getting really hot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take off my jumper. It would be really good if I could get some music on, because if I got some music on, then that would give me a little reprieve, wouldn't it? But like I said to you guys, I don't think that it's a music time. I don't think it's a music time. I've got 40 minutes, yeah, to literally take you up to part 3 of what it is like to be in the role of an enabler. It's FIIGS podcast, dealing with my Thursday show, which is from 10 till 12 every single Thursday. I've got my hands around the microphone like this because it's nice and cozy, and I can feel that you guys can definitely hear me. I want to big up to all my listeners out there. The screen is quite far away from me. I've been quite good though, actually, and reading out comments all the way from here because the screen's quite far. So that's quite good of me. But yeah, big up to all my listeners. Big up to everybody that is tuned in right now. I did give you the studio number, but it's on WhatsApp only. I really did want my show originally to be a phone-in chat show, but actually, I would only do that sometimes, have the lines open, and I can understand why anybody wouldn't do it all the time, because then when would you ever get to when would I get my therapy? Yeah, so I want to pick up Our Forgotten Neighbours. They are our sponsors of the HubLiveRadio.com. I want to pick up all the Hub Live Radio DJs. Basically, homelessness that Our Forgotten Neighbours actually supports is our community and our problem. Don't forget that tomorrow we have our soup kitchen out there feeding the homeless and the needy at Finsbury Park, outside Lidl, outside the park. It's a real good atmosphere down there. Lots of volunteers and a DJ and really, really good vibes. All fresh food. I saw the food being collected today, actually, and it just looked so good. It's a great improvement of what we used to get. Don't forget, Our Forgotten Neighbours are feeding hundreds of people week in, week out. We do outreach work at the end of most months, especially leading up to the winter months, providing the homeless with supplies to make them feel humane on the road. This weekend we've got Dressed to the Nines. It's a big event, and it basically is at the Mansion, and that's in East Dulwich. And if you go on Shubs, you'll be able to get your ticket. It's a dinner and dance promotion. Don't you dare come to this event unless you are dressed to the nines and you are over 28. No ID, no entry. Going to be some big DJ names down there, such as DJ Pioneer, Mighty Mo, Frisky DJ, Celebrity Super, Invasion, Unusual Suspects, Big Business. We got Top Cats, we got Mr. Suey, we got Chino Money, and it's all hosted by Shabba the Comedian. Don't worry, guys, I'm going to be getting on there soon about they've got Shabba the Comedian hosting it. When I've got my experience up, they'll be ringing me to host it. But that's at the Mansion this weekend. It's going to be an absolute showdown. It's going to be such a good night. I'm going to be there shaking my old foot We had the soup kitchen today, and that was outside Tonby Hall on Commercial Street. Hot meals today from 7 o'clock. It starts and it finishes at 5 o'clock. And again, it's our forgotten neighbours down there looking after the homeless and the needy. If you feel that you need to pass down there, whether it's to volunteer, whether it's to donate, or whether it's actually to use the resources that they provide, then everybody is welcome. It's a nice, friendly atmosphere, and you really will feel welcome down there. But yeah, being on this radio show is great therapy, and I have found that I am able to articulate myself in a way that is designed to share. I just want everybody to know that if you are in a situation where you feel that you no longer want to enable, then you need to talk to the abuser. I'm sure they want to get out of it as well, and I'm sure they could do with a bit of support, to be honest. And you got to remember that 999 is out there. You've got the domestic violence organization. You've got Samaritans. All those information resources that I've just mentioned, you can find on the internet, and they are there to help you. You've got Women's Aid, you've got victim support. You don't have to be alone on your journey. And like I said, even if you are an enabler and you're not being abused, and you know of a female that is, because you know that she is, because the abuser is your male friend or your male family member, then reach out. See what you can do to help to stop this, because it's always the way when it's not happening to us, we feel that we need to mind our own business. Nah, it's got to be your business. I always used to think that it was only children that should be aided and helped, and they're the only people that I would ever get involved with. If a child is being treated in any way, then I will put my neck on the line. But actually, anybody that's vulnerable, that's being treated in any way, I will put my neck on the line. And unfortunately, us single women, we are vulnerable, whether we want to be or not. We're always in positions of vulnerability, and we need to understand and we need to know that we are protected, whether it be by the people around us or by the agencies out there, such as the police, such as these domestic violence agencies that help women. And it's not just always the abused and the abuser that need help. Sometimes it might be the enabler. I mean, like I said to you before at the beginning, I have no idea of how much information about enabling is on the internet. I am literally talking to you from my own experiences as a 20-year female family member that has been enabling my brother to commit acts of domestic violence towards other females, including his mum. Now, I will tell you, and I'll tell you again, I have never, ever witnessed him doing anything to anybody. I've never physically, visually witnessed it. I've only heard. And what's brought this up is because an incident happened nearly 2 weeks ago now, and as usual, my phone rang, and I think I was going to be the rescuer. However, it didn't turn out like that. No, the abuser decided to act towards the abused, and the abuser decided to let the abused know. No, the abused decided to let the abuser know, which is my brother, that they ain't having it. Not this time, which needed to happen. Now, what I've always done since I've locked him off, I've kept away from this particular girl because I just couldn't understand what would make somebody stay with him for 4 years. So for the first 2 years, I had empathy, and if any support was needed on her side, I was offering it. My sister, who's, like I said, is in a different part of the country to me, she was also offering support, until it got to the stage where I thought to myself, I can't give you any more support. You're not even supporting yourself. I can't help you. Her family were giving her support, and even they decided that they couldn't help her. But you know what? That's not what she needed. She needed as much support as she could get. So, as loud as she was and as much abuse as she took, she still needed a lot of support. And I didn't give it to her because I couldn't understand why she was still there. But I do know this: what makes a lot of people stay is fear. And I don't know her situation, but I can tell you in my situation as a young person growing up, I was told that if I left, I would be killed. And I believed that person that told me that. Whether they were serious or not is irrelevant at the time, because at the time I believed them, so I stayed. That relationship was only 11 months. So 4 years? Nah, I don't think so, bro. Now you'd be lucky to get 4 minutes, and any form of abuse that is directed towards me, I don't tolerate. I just turn and I walk the other way. I don't find it attractive to argue and shout with the person that I am supposed to love, the person that I'm intimate with. I don't find that attractive. That's not a turn on for me. But I do understand that some people can work through their relationship based on that level. Do you know what I mean? And it is each to their own. It just doesn't work for me because I'm not sure if I explained before, I'm quite a violent and aggressive person. So being with somebody that is of the same ilk don't really work. It's like a fire and fire thing. What, we're going to both end up in jail or what? Do you get me? So I like to think that I'm practicing to be rational. I'm practicing to be open-minded. I'm practicing to be calm, peaceful, understanding. Obviously, I have my moments. I've got my principles and my morals and my values and beliefs, and I act upon how I feel and what I believe instantly. It doesn't take me long because I'm so sure of myself. Yeah, but not everybody's got that same confidence, and I get that. However, with this particular female that was with my brother, she came across as loud. She always had something to say, and I understand that the more you have to say and the louder you are, your abuser will abuse you harder because it takes a lot more to keep you quiet. Yeah. Now, like I said, she's going to come on next week and she's going to explain to us. You're going to see exactly the kind of person that we are dealing with. She doesn't come across to me as quiet. She doesn't come across to me as somebody that doesn't have something to say. As soon as I met her, I was hoping that she would be the one to put my brother down, and thankfully I was right. And it's taken a lot for her to do that. 4 years of abuse, 4 years of abuse that got progressively worse because she didn't back down and she wasn't quiet and she always had something to say. And I think that from what I know about her, she went through the same thing that a lot of people go through because we think we can change these people. We don't realize that we can't change them. It doesn't matter what we say. All we can do is change our own behavior. So I've already vowed to myself that what I saw my grandma do, both of my grandmas, what I've seen my aunts do, what I've seen my mum do, what I've seen my dad's baby mothers do, I ain't doing none of that. Because it hasn't turned out well for the male members of my family. They have just been allowed to do what they want. thinking it's okay, understanding no matter what they do, they have a safety net there. They'll always have their family there for them. That's cut off here. So yeah, I was telling you about Cairo. So yeah, she's really annoying, his girlfriend, but we have to live with that. And he really loves her. You can tell because nobody would put up with that amount of annoyingness unless they love somebody. And I think that's really mature of him because he's only 20. Uh, so he said to her yesterday, which really made me pleased. Uh, he broke it down for her. He said, "So what? You're allowed to pinch me, slap me, and talk my ear off while I'm watching the football. I'm not even allowed to say anything to you, bruv." That's what he said to her. And I love that because I thought to myself, well, at least you understand yourself, son. Because you're right, you're not allowed to say anything to her. And if you are going to say anything to her, understand it's got to be in a certain way that is using the gentler approach. So I noticed that he said to her, "You're really jarring me now. You need to be quiet and watching the football and you're just talking too much." There was no aggression in his tone. He didn't swear. He didn't raise his voice. And I respected that because she actually shut up. She was actually quiet after that. I'd see her going on her phone, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and half of me was joyous because I do apologise for my cough. Half of me was joyous because I was thinking to myself, look at this couple able to sit in a family environment, doing something normal, like just watching the TV and get along without any arms out, yeah? Or anybody losing their fuse. Or, it was decent. It was a decent evening. And then another part of me thought, God, you're only young. You're like an old married couple. You're sitting there on a flipping Wednesday night watching TV. You're not out. Do you know what I mean? You're not in your own place, and you're not out at another venue. You're like, and she's going to work because she's got to get up. She's going to bed because she's got to get up and go to work, and he is literally going to bed with her. Oh, look, something's happened on the telephone. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna go over there and have a look. But yeah, it's really, really interesting to understand the dynamics of other people's relationships because, especially if they are your children, it's really important if they're having if they're having intimate relationships, it's important for you to understand about those relationships. Some people will say it's none of your business. But, bruv, once it's happening under your roof, it's your business, yes, because then now you're accountable. Say something goes wrong. Then whose business is it if something goes wrong? Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, you've got to get involved. Something is going on this phone. I don't know what it is. Let's have a look. Because it made noise. I heard it make noise. So when these things make noise, I am here. Obviously, you can hear me. You just can't see me. Okay. We're not getting involved in the phone. Nothing for me. I don't know why it's buzzing and making noise. But yeah, it's been brilliant. It's always good to come on the podcast and have a bit of therapy. I'm not sure if any of you know, but I'm actually training to be a counsellor at the moment. And I'm at level 4 of training to be a counsellor. And the psychology that is involved in all the skills that you learn to help people help themselves. And before you kind of practice them on anybody else, you kind of look into yourself and wonder if these skills could work on you and where they fit into your lifestyle and all the rest of it. Well, I'm going to tell you all now to go away and reflect on your role as an enabler. Because as females in community, I'm almost certain that we are playing the role of enabler without realizing, without our knowledge, without our consent, without our will. And if it was us and it was happening to us, we wouldn't like it. If I sent my daughter somewhere because I felt that she was safe, or she went somewhere because she felt that she was safe. And when she got there, she was being abused, and there were adults in the place. Other adults, don't care who they are, don't care how old she is, and they were not flagging that up or not putting a stop to it. Oh, I tell you, well, what would you do? You'd be so upset, wouldn't you? So therefore, I've got 2 sons, and I refuse to enable any form of abusive behaviour that they display in my presence or within my earshot. I refuse to display it. I refuse to enable it. I put a stop to it. I have something to say, and if they want to continue to be like that, they got to go somewhere else and do it. It can't be around me. Because I'm not saying that I can control what these people do. I'm not saying that when they're not with me, they're not going to be who they are. That's their business. What I am saying is they can't do it in front of me. And not only can't they do it in front of me, if I find that that is the person that they are becoming, I will lock them off. They could be my child, little more, and then people go, "Oh, you're just saying that." You're just saying, "No, no, 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 no." If you think that I'm just saying that, then that means that you don't know me good, and that means that I might as well still be an enabler. I am coming out of that life in to the point where I've decided that with my own boy children, if they want to display acts of abuse, I will lock them off. I will lock them off if they want to turn into a woman abuser. I can't abide by that. I'm sorry. And I suggest and advise anybody that is on the same, that live in that same form of lifestyle in community, that's what needs to happen. If you feel that your young person who is male, or even older person who is male, needs some form of help, do what you can to help them. There are loads of agencies out there, but it's going to be a slog because, first of all, they have to admit what they've done, and they have to show some form of remorse in order to get any help. It just really is as simple as that. You can't be in an abusive relationship trying to get help for being abusive. You got to come out of that relationship first, and then think about getting help. And another important thing to remember as well for women that are in abusive relationships that have got out of them, it's important to maintain that healthy lifestyle and not put yourself back in that position, because unfortunately when you do that, people don't take you seriously. And then that's when the help stops, and that's when people start saying they don't care. And that's when people start saying that they don't want to get involved. That's when the police no longer take you seriously. That's when you can't be trusted if you want to go to victim support, because if people are going to house you in places that are supposed to be secure from abusers, and you can't be trusted to keep your abuser away, they won't help you. Because obviously you're just one person. They got loads of other people to help, and they can't afford to mess up their little system just because you can't. You have any? If you're too scared to stay away from your abuser, or sometimes the abused misses the abuser. Now that's sick. That's a next psychology that I don't understand. So I'm not going to talk about it. There will be people that want to talk about it. And next week, like I said, we have got a whole show lined up for you where you, as the listeners, get to hear the story of the woman that was abused by my brother. She has been brave enough to get away from him. She's been brave enough to agree to share, even agreeing to share, whether you've shared or not yet. Yeah, even agreeing to share is a step fully in the right direction, and it just means that people out there can understand you're not alone. You're not. I mean, the enablers are massive, vast amount of enablers out there. So yeah, like I said, I was telling you guys about my brother's inner circle, which includes me, his mum, and his brother and my sister, and he's got an outer circle, which is his extended family, which is his dad's brothers and sisters and his cousins. He can go there at any time to anybody's yard and just be comfortable and just do what he wants and pretend that he's not an abuser. And they pretend that he's not an abuser, and everybody has a good time. So that's the out, and then he's got the other circle of people, acquaintances, that know him and accept him for what he is because neither have they seen him abuse anybody. Do you know what I mean? They've only heard about it. So even though you're moving kind of sketchy, this person is still allowed around you because you have no solid evidence that he is out there abusing. And you know why? I say it again. It's because it's not happening to their own. Because I guarantee you, as soon as anything like that happens to one of their own, yeah, it don't work. That inner circle and that outer circle, it all gets destroyed. Because there are certain people that don't accept certain things. Especially if they feel like they've been deceived. Yeah, nah, people don't like that. So, yeah, the enabler has many roles of being a friend, being a comfort blanket, being a counsellor, being a social worker, being being an advisor, being a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse. Because sometimes when the abuser is abusing, they will contact the enabler in order the rescuer in order to be rescued, in order to be stopped, so that things don't go too far, so that the victim feels that look, I have my sister that I can ring to calm me down. She's the only one that can do this. And that makes me feel important. That used to make me feel important. I'm the only one that bless rings when he's like that. And when he's like that and he rings me, yeah, and I talk him out of it. And yeah, I feel like I rescued somebody. Wrong. I shouldn't be on the other end of his telephone. He should not be thinking that he can call me. And not just should he be thinking he can call me to rescue him, he should be thinking he can call me at all. Because he should understand that FIIGS is the kind of person that chat to people like that. I don't chat to abusers. I don't chat to people that want to spend their time making other people's lives totally unhappy, especially when they are in no position to defend themselves. Right, what kind of person am I? What does that make me? If I want to chat to somebody like that, just because they're my brother, or just because they're my son, or just because they're my nephew, or just because they're my cousin. Nah, it's not a good enough reason, is it? Well, not for me anyway. So, for me, decency is not enabling these things. Decency is discouraging these things. Decency is locking off people that do these things. Do you get me? Because they are harming people. You've got an expression that says, if they're not harming anybody, what's the problem? But they are harming people. Do you know what I mean? They are harming people, other people's children. It's wrong. Totally wrong, baby. So yeah, it is a wicked world out there, and the world is full of wicked people. And this is one thing I always know: it's always somebody's brother, it's always somebody's son, it's always somebody's nephew. It's always it could be somebody's daughter, it could be somebody's niece, it could be somebody's granddaughter, but somebody belongs to somebody somewhere at all times. Even if people have fled and left other people in different countries, that makes it even worse. That means that, especially if they come here, they should be made to feel more welcome, not less. Especially if you know that somebody's left their whole entire family to entertain their own needs, and then they've met somebody like my brother. What? well, it's all over, innit? Do you know what I mean? He would take full advantage of that. I told you that he used to go on the internet and look for vulnerable women of the Islamic faith in order to find people that shared the same interests as him, so that he could be a fake and draw them in. And then when he's finished drawing them in, he can be violent and aggressive towards them. And that's after he's introduced them to me, making out that I am the worst sister in the world. And if they say a bad word against him to me, I will do them something. That's what the life has been for us. Do you know what I mean? We've been living his double life with him, and we have been allowing that double life to happen. But I can tell you, it all came to a head. It all came to a massive head really recently, and I'm glad to be part of the execution rather than being part of the enabling. Because I could easily be one of those people that, one of those sisters that was gunning for this girl now. Do you know what I mean? And saying how out of order she is because look what she's done to my brother. Yeah, blah, 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 rare, 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 rah, rah, rah. But I'm not doing that. Nah. I'm saying well done. This is the first time you've gone this far. I'm happy that she's made good contact with her family again because they had given up on her. Because this is what happens when you're an adult, and this is what you need to understand. Don't be a bad adult. Forget that. Because people really do treat you badly when you're a bad adult. Because especially your parents, they just want to know, I brought you up. Where has everything gone? What happened to you? Yeah, your parents get the most disappointed because they're like, what? Nah, this is not you. This is not you. This is not who I brought up. This is not how you behave. But unfortunately, stuff happens, doesn't it? And one thing I know about parenting is it's common for parents to forget what it's like to be a child, isn't it? And then it's common for that child to understand that their parent is a person. So with that confusion in itself, communication levels are low. Do you get me? So I want everybody to understand that we are all people. Yeah, it doesn't matter how old we are. Yeah, we're all born human. And at the end, it doesn't even matter what gender you are, what race, colour, religion, makes no difference. We've all got feelings. Do you know what I mean? How we choose to display those feelings or act on those feelings is a completely different matter. I'm sure that we have unique ways of doing that. But we mustn't ever forget that we've got feelings. Do you know what I mean? We mustn't ever forget just because you're 25 doesn't mean you can't get your face punched in. We mustn't forget just because your son is really nice to you that he's not round the corner bashing some girl up. Do you know what I mean? We mustn't forget those things. Because there's no such thing as just because. There's no such thing. Well, there is such a thing as just because, but you better look into it, fam. Do you know what I mean? You have to look into what your role is as an enabler, where you stand, where the abuser has placed you gently and precisely. Yeah? Where in line have you ended up? There. That's what you need to establish for yourself. If you're comfortable there, stay. Do you know what I mean? Make yourself more comfortable if it's all good where you are. And if you're uncomfortable, try and do something about that as well. Because while you're uncomfortable, the likelihood is somebody else is suffering behind you or in front of you or aside of you. And sometimes it's multiple people, these guys have got abusing. And when they've got that safety net of their mum, their auntie, their sister, their cousin, their niece, their grandma, yeah, when they've got that safety net of a dinner to go and get, a yard to go and catch, somewhere to bring these girls when they're ready, when they've got that, yeah, it basically allows them to behave a lot more freely with their disgusting behaviour. So, I mean, I've played a massive part for 20 years in enabling. I have watched a lot of enabling being done. I think there's a lot of learnt behaviour gone on there. And I have learnt to break the cycle. I spoke to my daughter today. while I was preparing the show and writing poems and recording poems and all the rest of it. And I said to her, when you get older, you won't allow none of this because you're growing up with watching and hearing me not have it. So you're going to understand that as soon as it is displayed or demonstrated while you're there, you're going to understand what it is. So you're going to do one or two things, depending on how close the people are that are involved, whether it be the abuser or the abused. Yeah, you're going to get involved, or you're going to walk away, and you're never going to associate yourself with that in itself. And I'm saying to people that you mustn't. I'm not saying wash your hands of the abuser. I'm not saying wash your hands of the abuser, especially depending on your position with that person. But if you can get them some help, then do. Do. Look about those anger management classes. Look about the talking therapy. Look about it. Because us here in community, we don't get enough of that. And we feel that we can deal with everything by ourselves, this and that, blah, blah, blah. When all the time, all we're doing is enabling. Trust I. And we need to break the cycle because otherwise the domestic violence rises. It rises. It rose in COVID because neighbours were minding their own business or neighbours weren't minding their own business. And that's why it rose in COVID, because in order for us to know that things are on the rise, there has to be more reports of it. So COVID worked well for some abusers in the sense of things were so quiet they got to do their abusing quite nicely, how they want to do it, which is terrible. And then in other circumstances, it worked in the way that the abuser definitely doesn't want, because it meant that people were at home, they could hear what was going on, and they were able to take action, whatever that action was. So I don't agree with people that go, nothing to do with me. But I also understand that sometimes getting involved can hinder you. And I think it depends on the method that you use, because I know that my brother will definitely not be pleased about me talking about how I have enabled him. But it's not his problem. It's not him that's been enabling. He's been the abuser. He's got his own problems to deal with. Do you know what I mean? I've got my own problems to deal with. And unfortunately, anybody out there that is enabling has their problems to deal with as well. So, let's see the time. I mean, the time is precious. We've only got 7 minutes, and I didn't even play any music. But somebody said to me I needed to explain the enabling process more. I've given it to you from my point of view. I've given it to you from the point of view of how you deal with your family, and the male members in it, whether they be your children or not. I've given it to you from the point of view as sisters. I've given it to you from the point of view as male family members that might have be in relationships that you are privy to be a part of. Yeah, because some people are really private and you really don't get to hear. But what I've found with these abusers, somebody's always got to know. Do you know what I mean? They always get to the stage where they don't actually care that somebody knows, because that person is usually an enabler. And I'm sorry to say, guys, but your abuser knows it. So I am going to read you the poem again. I'm going to see where it resonates and see if my reading has got better. That's what I'm going to do. I think it's a really good idea. Here goes. The enabler. Do you have a male friend or a male family member who you have heard is a woman abuser? Then your role is probably enabler. It's nothing to be ashamed of, and only to be aware of the part you play in the abuse, and how the abuser positions you gently and precisely for their use. As strong as you are, And you have to know that your silence buys the consistent and progressive violent cries. As females alike, and as try as we might, we have no power to change them. We only, where are we? We have no power to change them. We only have the power to change ourselves and our actions and make them realize that we are not their friend. Otherwise, I'm afraid, my dear, you're enabling. And if this sounds like you, and if it fits the bill, and your previous actions with your male family members or friends makes you feel ill, it's not too late to act. The quicker you resign from being in that enabling role, the less powerful the abuser becomes. And that's a fact. Take time to observe the behavior and the actions of your male friends and your family members, those capable of abuse. Stop them from their armed house, and when they're about to lose a fuse, don't ignore them, don't befriend them, and don't be creating an excuse. If they end up in jail, don't give them bail. Do not give in to the abuse. Look out for the abuser, even if he's your friend. Look out for yourself and do your best not to fulfill the role as an enabler. I really, really, really do hope that resonates with some people, because it's not just the abused and the abuser that's involved. There's usually a whole barrage of enablers with their role to play. It's all been set up for you to be totally unaware of Wagwan and enable. That's what it's been set up to do. Peeps, I want to thank our forgotten neighbours because without you guys, the Hub Live Radio wouldn't be running so crisp. I want to big up every single Hub Live Radio DJ. I want to big up every single listener that has tuned in today, and anybody that might want to go back and listen in and basically acknowledge how they play a part in enabling. And I hope the enabling stops. I really, really do, because then it just means that we will have a healthier, thriving community where our youth can grow up in safety and decency. You know what I mean? We want to be just as civil as everybody else on the road. We don't want to be looked at like we are unapproachable and unmanageable. So I say stop the enabling. Tune in next Thursday for part 3. That was part 2. You can catch part 1 on Facebook. You were tuned in live and direct to the FIIGS live podcast stream. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you guys as usual. I mean, without you, we're nothing. I'm nothing without my listeners. I know at the end of the day, I hope I'm appealing to a wide range of audience, and I hope that whatever message I'm putting across is getting through, and I hope it's coming across with love, and I hope it's coming across with peace. We've got an excellent weekend coming up because we've got Dress to the Nines, which is on Saturday the 27th of April, dinner and dance. We've got DJ Pioneer, Mighty Mo, Frisky DJ, Celebrity Super, Invasion Crew, The Usual Suspects, Big Business, Top Cats, Mr. Sui and Chino Money, and that's going to be hosted by Shabba, the comedian. Get your tickets from shubs.com. We got dinner and dance. The dinner and dance, the dinner look nice though. Salt fish fritters. I'm having Cajun salmon, New Jersey potatoes, bit of salad, cheesecake. Yeah, it's going to be banging. And it's always really important to fill up your belly so that you can drink responsibly. Big up our forgotten neighbours. Big up everything we do here at the Hub Live Radio. I am FIIGS. I am looking forward to seeing you guys again next Thursday for part 3. Like I said, we have got a domestic violence survivor coming on to talk about her experiences as the abused, from the abuser, who unfortunately happens to be my brother. Take care, guys. Cut out the enabling. Live with peace and love every single time. I'm out of here. Goodbye, and don't forget to be true to yourself. And big up everybody. Just big up yourselves. Go on.
Yo, fam, check out thehubLiveRadio.com. It's a defo, trust me.